believe me, just watch.
We're digging on the new music here on the Morning Brew with Friends. It's Adam Greenhood from Esparza Advertising. And you guys watch the Super Bowl, I think, probably differently than anybody else could ever watch it. You're in the ad business. And you didn't care about the game. You cared about the ads.
Well, I am a football lover first, and then an ad man, second. So I do care about the game, and the game was great.
It was actually a game this year.
It was a real game.
It was a real
which
game.
Was wonderful. Yeah.
Like the last several Super Bowls I sat down and watched, by the second quarter.
The game was over.
Right.
But the commercials,
Right.
But yeah, what was also nice for advertisers was because it was a game, everyone stayed to the very end.
No
and,
doubt.
a lot of advertisers buy spots third quarter, fourth quarter. Those are just as expensive as first quarter.
Are they really?
They are.
I assume they just kind of tiered
No,
them
they
down.
really don't. You don't get a bargain. I think at the very end of the fourth quarter, but sometimes, like yesterday, you were some of the most watched advertiser ads were in the fourth quarter.
I'm sure, because that's when everybody was glued to the TV.
Right.
In the middle of the second quarter, we really didn't care much.
For $4.5 million, you want to make sure it's a good game.
Is that what it is?
$4.5 million
was
for each 30 seconds.
Jesus, that's what was it? $3.5 million last year.
Well,
right?
I'll tell you, in 1967, the first spot was 50,000.
Yeah.
And if you were to use inflation just over the course of time, spots should cost about 250,000 just with normal inflation. So the fact that they're $4.5 million now.
But how much has the audience grown on the show, though?
Audience has grown, and frankly, for most advertisers, if you can afford it, it is still legitimate. Mathematically, it's a fantastic ad buy. Actually.
You can't reach 400 million people any other way.
No.
Yeah, it's
So,
an amazing thing.
If you can make a great spot, then it's great.
Right, and there were some that killed it this year. There were some that were just amazing.
Yeah.
This year, I was sitting on the couch with my dog, and I was watching it, and then this commercial showed up.
Yeah. Did the dog get up and start crying too?
No, but I think my dog Fozzie Bear heard the Budweiser puppy.
Budweiser puppy.
And my dog's ear, she perked up and she wanted to see what it was. I mean, that was quite a commercial.
It's it was a continuation of last year's spot and the year before, but Budweiser has figured out a combination and a formula, and it works really well. So once again, that was the highest rated spot of the evening by USA Today.
I think we have a clip of that we can show. And how do you rate those as the highest rated clips?
We do actually. USA Today for the past 15 years. They get together a segment of people, I think it's about 10,000, all over the country, and they literally, they have everyone, from every state rate, how much like a spot 1 to 10. That spot, I think, scored at 8, 8.1, and that was the highest rated spot this year.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. Let's see. Let's take a look at this clip of the
I don't know if you want everyone to cry in the morning.
Right.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. I'll walk 500 miles, and I'll walk 500 more just to be
I love it. That's really clever. But what I thought was really fascinating about that one, there's not a single beer bottle there's no beer, there's nothing at all in that commercial. It's just all brand awareness and stuff like, I know ad guys talk about brand awareness things, Clydesdale.
Well, it's, and at the level Budweiser's at this point, they don't need to spend any money telling anybody what they sell.
Although they did in the other commercial.
They did, and I have a feeling, and I was actually surprised at that. I felt
love
like,
that one.
and everyone in our Super Bowl party loved it too. I think it was a great combination they did this year, where they had a few spots which were, like we talked about, just general branding. This is what the Budweiser brand is about.
Right.
And then a few others that are like, this is what we're about, and this is really what we make, and we're really proud of it.
Right, because there was the one where they were just like, we make beer.
We make beer, right? Let's not forget, we make beer. I mean, it's a craft, and I think Budweiser very often fights is it a craft beer? There's so many other beers out there, and so I think that spot was designed to remind them that it's a beer, but spent a lot of time making.
Well, they made a big deal like Beechwood aging, and what they're really trying to do, I think, was kind of at one moment capture the growing microbrewery market, and at the same time tell everybody else, we're not a microbrew. We've been doing this forever. We're really practiced. We're old pros at this. And I thought that was an interesting kind of dichotomy in that, because Sam Adams sells beer simply on the we are craft.
Sure, craft, and we'll make you an excellent bottle of beer here. And Budweiser, I think, for too long hasn't leveraged to your point, the fact that they've been around, this isn't their first rodeo, this isn't their first beer. This is a time-aged process, getting it right.
Right. They've been practicing for 100 years to do it. But we got some other commercials too here that we can show, because we've got there was one that I think was really fascinating, and I know it scored pretty highly on the same ranking. It was from Always, and this was one. It was the Throw Like a Girl commercial.
Throw Like a Girl.
I think we can cue that up here, and it was one of those that kind of came out of left field for me during Super Bowl. I didn't expect that.
This year, with all the NFL, it's been no secret, the NFL has struggled with their PR, as with a lot of major sports leagues.
Right.
And so I think it's actually why this year you saw a lot of spots that were, about dad, but not, dad like, the klutzy, silly dad, but like, make you cry about dad, and we can be better dads, and sort of uplifting men. Right. And women, and I think there's a domestic violence spot on that also talked about let's be better people. Let's kind of strive for the best in humanity.
Yeah, well, I think we've got the commercial here queued up for Always, the Throw Like a Girl commercial.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No, I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
That was a pretty powerful commercial, especially, we have the second half of it, I think. There was a 1 minute spot,
The first half showed, young men being asked, run like a girl, throw like a girl, and young women, and they all kind of sort of pantomime the, the stereotypical, I can barely run and I throw, so, and I think it caught the audience off guard, because I think most of the audience went along with it going, yeah, that's when you say run like a girl in quotes, that's where you get.
And then there was that awesome twist.
It's a wonderful twist, and I think it made everybody in the room think, why do I think that?
Right.
Why have I thought that for so long?
Right, and those are rare commercials. And, there was that one. The one that struck me, too, was the Nissan father commercial.
Yep.
That was a good one.
Great one.
I liked that. It was another probably.
That was 90 seconds, actually.
Was it
They
long?
bought it a minute and a half.
It felt a lot longer than. So that was a $12 million ad.
That was
buy
a $12 million ad buy on top of a commercial that probably cost about $10 million to make.
Wow, that's amazing. But that was one. What do you think it is this year that it seemed like these more touching, almost PSA commercials were as important as the Doritos commercials?
And I think what's interesting is, again, because I think the NFL has struggled a lot with their PR, and
Did they encourage that? Did
they certainly didn't. And I think it's interesting that sort of what's in the sort of ethosphere right now. I think that the Americans and the world is getting a little tired and worn out on sort of trying the negative stuff and hate, and are kind of maxed out and are kind of looking for something a little brighter.
Right.
And I think that shines in advertising. That's you see it. Advertising is a reflection of humanity usually.
And also like there was always the party girls and the Coors Light party train, all of that stuff.
Didn't see that.
None of that this year.
And it's funny, some people missed it. Some people at our Super Bowl, that's kind of what we've been grown to expect.
Yeah.
Most people, I think, like a smattering, like one or two of it, but really they appreciated, I think, the spots that were, striving a little higher in humanity than necessarily.
Well, the one. On that same tip, there was the one, I think it was Nationwide, had the commercial with the kid, and he's like, I'm not going to grow up, I'm not going to, and then there's the bathtub filling with water. That was like one of those that, as I was watching, I was like, wow, that's intense.
Well, and I think it's a Super Bowl, people aren't ready for a spot like that. So, catches them off guard, like, whoa, I'm here to watch a game, and then suddenly hit me with a dead child.
Right.
And so I think it's a good example you bring up of some advertisers that walked that line perfectly and found the right note, and
Do you
some
think
that
that
found
was? I got a lot of social media chatter on that one.
That one I think actually tipped on the wrong note. Not that it was a bad spot, but it was just sort of it was a little too heavy for the moment.
Yeah.
And I think I caught people off guard in the negative, not in the best way. Where some others like that Always spot, you're like, I want to think about those things, and I want to think about girls running.
You want to think about the Coors Light party train at sometimes, but then you want to know that there are other ways to go about living your life too. Well, we're gonna be back with our buddy Tom Sanderson from Albuquerque the Magazine in just a couple of seconds on the all-new Morning Brew with Friends. Thanks for coming in this morning, Tom.
My pleasure.
Join us for the next few segments.
Absolutely.
Here. Yes. Excellent.